I would say that it's very important that you have something ongoing. Do not completely leave your job and plunge as I did. It's very difficult, trust me. It's not that easy actually.
Coming to legal marketing, what does it mean? And break it down for us, please.
Like having your company, your idea is just like your baby. And you really want to protect it. You don't want to discuss it with other people because you think they will steal it. But get as many perspectives as much you can with people who know and understand these. I made all the mistakes I could make or anybody could make in a startup. From raising funding to the ideas to execution, everything from marketing, everything. But
is there anything else that perhaps somebody who's just starting out should focus on LinkedIn?
I think there are different interesting features that are coming up actually.
Hi Nishant, thank you so much for coming for this interview. And thank you for agreeing to do this at Prolawgue. For everybody's Nishant is a lawyer turned tech entrepreneur turned marketing entrepreneur and is currently has his face in a lot of ventures. We hope to talk about all of those ventures. We also hope to talk about the niche field of legal marketing where Nishant is running a consultancy and just the importance of it in today's day and age, and particularly talk about how that's going to function in a jurisdiction that is so highly regulated as India. So Nishant, thank you so much once again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Shreya, for the kind introduction. And it's great to always discuss with you new ideas around legal tech. And it's wonderful that initiative that you have taken as a Prolawgue. And it's wonderful seeing and keeping oneself abreast with everything that you're sharing, whether it's in social media. And it's really interesting. I wish something like this would have existed long back when we kind of, started a journey where we didn't know much information was not there actually, particularly when we talk about this information in Indian context.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Nishant. So actually, we want to walk through your journey, right? Because you went to law school. And were you always destined to be a lawyer? Is that something that was a very conscious choice?
Yeah, I think I would say I'm an accidental lawyer. So I'm the first generation lawyer actually in my family. And many of my siblings, cousins, they all from the technology background. Even my immediate elder brother, he is also from a tech background actually. I was supposed to be an engineer actually. I had given AITRIPL in all exams before I moved to Chennai to prepare for CLAT actually. That was the first time I left my native place to just prepare for the law. And I found it quite fascinating because even in my school days, I was quite involved in all those debates and everything. So they saw it was a new field. And in fact, my elder brother suggested me that, okay, I think this would be the right area for you. And when I was there and when I got to know and develop my own perspective around this as a career, so it was interesting. And that's how it happened. And I started preparing. I got through NLU Delhi. And the rest is history after that, being a lawyer, and it gave a great exposure. And I think as a person, it has helped me to be a very, very it helped me getting a good connection and network of people and developing a different perspective altogether, so, yes.
Great. All right. And right after law school, you started working as a legal analyst at CPA Global. So what was that about, if you could tell us? And very honestly, I'm not very sure about what CPA Global is as well.
Sure. So CPA Global is one of the biggest IP consulting firm actually, globally. One of the biggest actually. And they have been in this field for really long. So they also do different contract management and certain legal research things they do, but that was a very small part actually. So the legal support team was there. So they were primarily involved in contract management and everything. Apart from that, they also had a client, a UK-based publication house, which was particularly involved in a legal publication. They are one of the biggest actually, let me know that. So, and this publication house was involved with all these global law firms and helping them get visibility through content aggregation, similar to Mondac.
Okay.
Okay. And so when I joined, I joined as a like a researcher. Actually, I was initially I was mainly involved in contract drafting and contract management sort of a task in the beginning. And later on, I mostly worked in the legal research and different regulatory and compliance thing that were particularly for the in-house things that we were doing. And apart from that, also a couple of works that they had, different clients that they had, we were working on that. And but this publication house was a very interesting twist actually. And from there I got this idea, because this is the kind of restriction that they have, and they don't have the great exposure actually, when you try to find, because ultimately when we see the lawyers or legal professionals, we are knowledge professionals, people would know us because of the kind of information or perspective that we have on the certain issue. So this was very wonderful for me, in the sense people can go to one platform, they can see that what kind of updates and content they are publishing, what kind of perspective or opinion they have on the certain legal issues. So I got really curious, and I wanted to have something similar, for Indian context actually. So parallelly, I just started thinking around such idea. And from there, I started a platform parallelly called FeedLEX.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very unaware about that. Please tell us what
Yes,
that was about.
yes. So I started this platform somewhere around 2014 actually. So the idea was basically to identify all the important updates in legal industry and summarize it for, as a newsletter or something, and just publish it every day. Like 10 topical updates, what happened actually, what is happening in India. That's it, and nothing else. So I used to curate actively all the good contents and used to publish on a website, and also share these contents through Twitters or other mediums actively actually. So and it was a very kind of a regular thing. So gradually, and it was very kind of interesting, like within a month or so I started getting like 1,000 sort of users per day, you can imagine, like, so that was quite encouraging. So then I started exploring, and what used to happen, that people started coming and then also asking their legal queries and everything. But I never had that much time to basically research and answer them, because I used to do these things, all the curations and publishing everything, after coming from my office, which used to be around 8 or 9. And I would sit through whole night curating all these content, summarizing it. And I would usually go to sleep around, 2 a.m. or something, and then again 6 or 7 in the morning. But I did everything on my own. I learned how to make a website and how to do SEO and how to get visibility, how to promote content, doing these things. It's just the curiosity which led to everything. And so that's how this journey started. But when people started asking so many legal queries and I didn't have time, I really wanted to cater to them. So I introduced a page. It was a simple page which had information about the WhatsApp number. If you have any legal queries, simply post your query and you will get the answer in 24 hours, free of cost. Nothing would be charged. Everybody can. Yeah. So, and that was also overwhelming, like within a week. And so every day I would get like 20, 25 queries, and the numbers start increasing. And I was unable to kind of, do it on my own, like researching and responding to all these queries. But
so then did you get somebody on board, or how do you manage that project?
Yeah. So then I started looking for people actually, who would help me with all these things, actively looking for. But I used to obviously talk to my friends and colleagues that, okay, this is I'm doing, and this is very exciting. People are coming and trying to get help and trying to find a very kind of contextualized answer to their legal issues and everything. So they found it fascinating, but nobody was willing to commit. It's finding co-founder was a kind of, it's a very, not co-founder, but somebody, who see it as exciting as I see, like, helping people to navigate these things, or even to resolve their basic queries actually that way. Because if you see, the name was FeedLEX. The idea was to basically constant legal feed in a very that was the brief idea. But since I was receiving so many usual queries through emails and everything, so I thought maybe I can streamline it, where I can parallelly handle it while working, or even talking to someone using WhatsApp. I can normally respond to these queries. But obviously this was not easier. And so that's how the idea of PocketLawyer came into being, where I wanted to basically bring all these professionals in one platform where they can respond to these queries and get better visibility online, and they can create their personal branding and credibility by answering these queries. But I also wanted to think through that how they will be kind of, benefited with this platform apart from just branding actually. So we also had a consultation booking module. Then we also had certain fixed price, like sort of services where you can know that you would know that these are the tentative like cost that you need to pay if you are really want to avail these things from these respective professionals or whosoever were listed on the platform actually. And it was,
yeah.
No,
please. Sorry. I was just going to come back to PocketLawyer, right? Because just to help our users understand a little better, if you can talk about PocketLawyer a little bit more, and particularly how you dabbled in it in, I think, 2015, when nobody was talking about legal tech as much.
Yeah. So as I told you, the journey, how it like FeedLEX from a WhatsApp Q&A, for people where they can, and just to tackle that particular problem, I thought that, okay, why cannot it could work for it both ways actually. People need answers, people need contextualized answers, so why can't we have a really good platform which can easily connect people, and particularly these legal professionals and somebody having legal issues for the personal legal issues or even business oriented question that they would have, or even something intriguing, just like something is happening in country and they just want to understand a legal perspective around that. So that was the simple thing, and that is why the ultimately PocketLawyer was actually born. And the idea was why PocketLawyer. It was basically affordable, accessible, and available. That is why Pocket signifies the kind of accessibility and the affordability part actually. And it was completely online. We didn't have the app, but everything was quite seamless. Once you registered on the platform, you had your dedicated dashboard. You could see all. You can actually navigate through all the question and answer that we had earlier answered by these professionals. Actually, just like a Quora, but particularly for the legal vertical.
Great. So you took the plunge into entrepreneurship, Nishant, just with very limited quote unquote work X, right? How do you decide? How do you take that leap of faith?
Sheer passion actually. This was the kind of adrenal rush I used to get, because when I used to help people and they used to through answering their questions and getting these visits, number of visits increasing every day, I couldn't stop myself. I said, this is amazing. This is amazing. People find it useful. And so gradually, I started finding people, who could, and let me tell you, I spoke to more than 250 people before I found my co-founder.
I'm sure.
Everywhere.
Actually, you have to tell us more about how you find a co-founder, because that's another very big stepping milestone, right? When you start out on your own.
True. So I used to discuss these things actively wherever I'm meeting people, telling them and how it is actually, so exciting and all that. Obviously you have to be your own brand ambassador whether it's your idea and how you see things. Sometimes what happens when we get an idea, we think that, people, somebody with a better resources can actually steal it, but it doesn't actually work like that. Your idea is your way, the way you execute it, and ultimately how you see that it will work out. So even I was kind of apprehensive, but gradually I learned it's good to get a perspective from people who are good, who understand certain things around that. So I would actively discuss about this with more and more people, and it got refined in a very less time actually. So even I had a better perspective. Okay, this is good. These are the things we can include as a feature, and this is how we can improve. And even if I was not able to find a co-founder, but in the journey of talking to people or finding co-founder, I had a very refined idea at the end of the day, how it would look like and how things would work, what would be the business model, and how we can actually escalate it ultimately, right? So, but so that's how, I happened to after almost 1 year, I happened to find a co-founder, and luckily we discussed 2-3 days continuously. We stayed at one place without going, we didn't go anywhere. The whole day, 2-3 days, we were just discussing, just trying to break it down, everything, how things will happen, and to refine everything as a platform, and what would be our USP, and how like whether there is some like obviously we had done our research, but we really want to be crystal clear about every aspect of it. So it was complete 48 hours of brainstorming session, non-stop, literally. Obviously we will take some rest and go for lunch and everything, but it was continuous. We didn't do anything that weekend actually, but we all came together, and we were very lucky. So since I was already talking, and they were also, I've been already in touch with them before they came to meet and sit together, and so we got an opportunity to as a seed fund also, like
Wow.
we didn't have a platform or anything, but because of the FeedLEX and the kind of traction that we had, and we had already structured everything, so we prepared a pitch deck, projection, and everything. It was simply it was very interesting. All of us went and presented, and it took some time, and yeah, we got our seed funding, and then we didn't look back, and so that's yeah.
That's amazing. So then after PocketLawyer happened, you moved to Tecnovos as a legal technology consultant.
Yeah.
Tell
So
us what Tecnovos is. You have to also tell us how you managed to get that break, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people are trying to break into legal tech, but they don't really know where to start.
yes, I would. So basically, when I was working on PocketLawyer, so there were different modules that we had planned actually. As I told you, there was Q&A, like just like a Quora. There are consultation module, which was similar to something like Practo, and there was like fixed sort of price services where you can predict that, okay, if you avail these services from this platform, this much it would cost you. So there was one also document drafting thing which I was working on.
Okay.
Yeah, completely automated sort of process to basically get a basic legal documents, without spending a penny on anything. So we had already kind of created a repository and everything around that, and we wanted to give it free to the people. And if they need to customize these things as per their specific need, they could seek help from the listed professional on our platform. So the Tecnovos actually is a fintech. It's basically a fintech and a startup actually, and they also work in different vertical. They have a different team as well actually, apart from the technology team. So I was particularly working with the tech team. So they were planning to start a similar platform like that. So I thought, okay, since I was already thinking of something like that, and this is a great opportunity, because the one of the founder was a very good friend of mine, even before the law school actually. So he knew about PocketLawyer, he knew what I did there, and so he reached out to me, and it was very exciting for me, to just because until like before that time, PocketLawyer was already on the verge of closing. So I thought, okay, it could be a good start. And so that's how I involved with Tecnovos, and I worked on many different things apart from even this legal contract drafting platform. I happened to work on asset management technology and even mobile wallet. And even in the asset management technology, I also create a complete roadmap for asset management based on blockchain. Actually, many things were new to me, but I researched and created a complete roadmap. So this was a very wonderful experience for me as well, because in the short duration, I interacted with many blockchain startup, and actively what is the idea, what they are doing, because it was a little bit learning phase for me. And I'm talking about somewhere around 2019, end of 2019 and early to 2020. So I've interacted with more than 20 startups, and how we can use this technology ultimately to create a great legal sort of solutions, in justice delivery system, or even certain automation, and how we can decentralize these things. So that was very interesting. I worked on one aspect in a detail, but I understood the whole application, like the how it is kind of applicable and relevant in the long term, actually, for the legal industry as well. So that was very wonderful.
So before we move forward, I do want to understand what are your key learnings from running PocketLawyer, and how did it fundamentally change how you think about startup, how you think about entrepreneurship, how you think about legal tech, etc., etc.
Great. This is a very interesting question, actually. Honestly, as you see my journey, I did not think much. It was not much planned. like completely driven by passion and curiosity, and to do something new. And I even like right after the law school also I was thinking that I will do something of my own, but I just want to get some idea like how the corporate and everything works, so that later on when I'm managing things, managing people, I understand their perspective and everything. But for me personally, this was a complete learning curve. I made all the mistakes I could make or anybody could make in a startup, from raising funding to the ideas to execution, everything from marketing, everything. But now I know. And so because you can never be sure actually. So it was not like we knew everything. Many times we had to discuss with all these kind of expert or sort of mentor who have already done certain things. But for you really need to contextualize those information, like how it would work for you. And there were so many things. We were a small team, so always things will go out of control, and we didn't have many idea. When we have kind of done it, then we would okay, we could have done it better. So the whole journey had been like that actually for me, for PocketLawyer. But but I think I am a little wiser that way, from the organization point of view, and how to kind of find people, even you're like how to basically research around idea, and how you can prioritize things, what is more important in the early days. So these sort of things I learned during that process, and get to know like many players in the space actually, because that was a very interesting journey, like what other people are doing in other country, how they are doing it, and what kind of different solutions that they are coming up with in a legal take, and whether we can use something like that and in Indian context or not, and whether we can improve or like sort of contextualize those solutions for Indian people, Indian audience. So that was the whole kind of learning. But yeah, made mistakes at every stage, I would say. But that's how I remember all these things also pretty well, because I think when you are not able to do the thing the way you should have done, you remember the lesson for a longer time. At least you remember, you can recall, and you can basically see that particular situation in the same way, and you can assess, and you think that how you can do it better. So
I was actually going to save this question for later, but I think this is a good time to ask you this. So, what are the three things that anybody who's starting up or just starting out or is beginning on their journey of entrepreneurship should not do, like beginner mistakes?
yeah, first of all, I would say that it's very important that you have something ongoing. Do not completely leave your job and plunge as I did. It's very difficult, trust me. It's not that easy actually, because sometimes we might be so much convinced with our ideas, and generally happens, we get emotionally connected with the things, and we particularly our ideas. It's just like having your company, your idea is just like your baby, and you really want to protect it. You don't want to discuss it with other people because you think they will steal it. But get as many perspective as much you can with people who know and understand these things. So first of all, don't directly do your own research, understand the risk involved. It's very important, because this is risky. Like entrepreneurship is just about not taking risk, but also calculative risk. Like when you're going into what you're going into, actually, you understand things, and then there is the flow, because many things will evolve in the process. No matter how much clear you are about your idea, it is never going to be the same down the line. So it is very important, because these are experiments. Like you understand the people, you understand your idea itself, actually the way actually people are perceiving it. Then from there you get more clarity, more, and gradually you can improve upon those things. So obviously don't directly plunge, and don't afraid to discuss things with people who can actually add value or new perspective to your things you do. And most importantly, choose your co-founders wisely. Very important. People are the kind of the great asset you could have in the beginning, actually. It's very, very important. It's just not that whether people are readily agreeing with you and they're so excited with your ideas, not just like how you gel up with the people, but also what value they bring to the table. What is the different thing they can kind of add to the things, the ideas that you're doing. You don't want the same people with the similar skills working on the same thing. or even if you think so, just understand their aspiration, how, like, in 3-4 years, 5 years, they see themselves as an individual, as a professional, and how their kind of, these things align with the things that we are doing, right? It's just not about your business. Even as a professionals, or we also want to grow, right? And if you really want to have that strong team, understand their aspirations as well, and what actually they bring to the table. And so, because this is very important, the first 3 years, so never get swayed by the, like, when somebody is saying yes, agreeing to everything. That find people who disagree with you, who questions you on the things, not simply they're agreeing this is awesome, like, but find people, and those things can actually help you refine everything in the longer run. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Nishant. I think that's very, very helpful. So we're just gonna move along your journey now, and I want to understand more about, ThinkNiti research, and also just generally that, before we move on to the other things that I want to talk about in a lot more detail. Yeah.
Sure. So ThinkNiti actually was founded somewhere around 2019. And before that, I had I have always been interested in working in the non-profit space, actually. So this was a parallel thing that I was doing. I had the opportunity to work on road safety issues in early days of my law schools, actually. So I happened to work actively with Justice Mida of Delhi High Court. And the kind of exposure that we had got during doing all these research in Judges Library, so it opened my eyes, and I really found it fascinating, in the sense there are so many things that needs to be done, and India is one of the biggest sort of people where young generation are dying on the roads, and the road safety policies and everything that is in there. So it was somewhere in the back of mind. I got the opportunity from WHO, where they started a training program. So with one of my college friends, we got this project, and we got a great exposure to work with the government agencies like Transport Ministry, state government, and we helped them kind of worked on the different policy aspects related to road safety. And we still actively kind of we take up these projects, and we have different teams, and we come together and we work on these different projects. So continuously till 2019, we worked with WHO. And after that, we also trained NGOs on what is the current legal framework. So it's basically like a training on road safety issues and policies. So I basically work as an executive director, the planning and identifying people who will be working on these projects. And so there are experts on the road safety who works, but my role is more of a execution, actually, and bringing everything and and communicating to the state with the stakeholders.
Sure, great. So you're also currently the co-founder at Altstac Technologies, and at Altclik Marketing, Altclik Digital, sorry. So we're going to take these questions a little separately. First, I want to deal with the legal tech aspect of it, and talk through it, because then we'll have the space to walk through the black hole that's legal marketing.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yes. We are talking about Altclik Digital right now, right?
Sorry, Altstac Technologies right now, before we move on to the digital bit.
Okay, so Altclik Digital is basically a vertical of Altstac Technology.
I see.
Altstac Technology is the parent company. So Altclik is one of the vertical which primarily focuses on digital marketing, particularly for legal professionals right now. Okay, so Altstac Technologies also take up on a different core technology. So we have a team who are particularly from the technology background. We work on the automation. We work on a different technology solutions. So Altclik is just one vertical. We just focus on the marketing, and for later on we have we the way we want to structure it, different ideas and solutions that we will create once everything is kind of ready and streamlined. So you will see more and more solutions under Altstac Technologies. So Altclik is part of Altstac.
So all digital solutions, like a one-stop shop for legal professionals. Is that correct?
Yes. So Altclik will cater all those things in the longer run. Yeah.
Great. So in terms of automation and just leveraging technology better, what are the kind of areas you focus on? So say if I sit in like a mid-sized law firm, what can I do better?
Yeah. As I told you, like earlier also I had worked on a legal tech space. I worked with Tecnovos. We created different smart contract solutions for them. The product development that were happening. I also worked on the asset management, document drafting platform. Like everything can be, people can do it yourself sort of platform, right? So these things I have already worked, and most of these solutions, and in fact there was a solution that I was working, people can get their businesses registered in one day and get their account ready like within 24 hours. If you're starting a business, you go there, you provide all your information, and within 24 hours, you will have everything, your business registered, and you will have a bank account as well. And apart from that, there was different business oriented solutions that we are providing, and it was very kind of a streamlined, so those solutions and automation from the business point of view, and even the legal documentation part was one of the module of that platform that we were working on. And most of these solutions were like, some of the aspect was from the legal point of view, but generally very much business oriented actually solution, because it was a fintech startup. But since I had understanding, I had already worked on, so they saw the value because I had already implemented something like that. So the whole structure of the platform, creating the roadmap, and how these modules will integrate with each other. And how we can actually automate complete process of registering the business, or even creating certain documents or any other services that businesses would need in the beginning of their incorporation.
So I'm actually intrigued, because to just incorporate a business, there's so many stakeholders that are involved, right? So how do you do it in 24 hours?
Yeah. Not particularly private limited company, obviously, because not particularly for the private limited company. But when we say that we can do it for a different entity that you form, it was totally possible actually. So all the information and because they were fintech, they had a cooperative bank in the background. So every solutions were going through that. So instantly you could get it actually. Because as I told you that it was a fintech startup, and they had a cooperative bank, and they had a current account, they had app and everything. So I had to create a layer for for these business solutions, legal solutions, or even later on the marketing solutions, different modules which are integrated with everything later on. So that's how these things were very much seamless. You provide these information we assess everything, and we give you, okay, these are the things that you can avail, and you can actually accelerate. You focus on the things that you do best, and the rest we can take care of, whether incorporating your business, having your bank account ready, and so that and apart from that, even if you need help with other things as well, the legal compliance and regulatory compliance, those things would have been kind of taken care of.
All right, and that's something similar that Altstac is focusing on as well, or are there more things?
So Altstac is particularly a technology company. It's a typically normal technology company. So we work in emerging tech, and we create solutions for small and medium-sized businesses actually, right? And the current focus industry is particularly the telecom, education, legal. These industries are in the core focus, because all the members who are currently, so they have experience working in these industries right now. And so gradually we will be working on different ideas and solutions. So we already have 3-4 interesting projects in the pipeline.
I see.
So down the line, you will see more and more products coming under the umbrella Altstac Technology. And even Altclik is part of, as I said,
right.
It is completely responsible for the marketing aspect of the things. And we are currently focusing on legal marketing.
Right.
So
coming to legal marketing, what does it mean? And break it down for us, please.
Altclik.
Yes.
Okay. So the idea of Altclik actually came somewhere around PocketLawyer days only. Actually, I had no idea about marketing and how to basically do these things, how it actually works in a digital space. So when we created PocketLawyer, we needed more and more people to know about us and how we create a buzz around it. So it was very difficult for us. Obviously, we were getting different traction through the content and everything that I'd already done. but it was very difficult to create a buzz around it, or even because it was a marketplace, we needed lawyers also to understand and see value in the platform. But we couldn't find a right agency to help us with that. So I ended up learning everything, and because I saw there is a gap, they don't understand the industry, they don't understand the jargon and terminology and how to communicate or add value to the people or the audience for, like when they need any help with the legal issues, and how to communicate these things, that the proper communication is strategy, because industry is very typical actually. You may create different technology solutions and everything, but the communication is the core and soul of everything in your marketing strategy. But if you don't understand the industry, you don't understand the people, the way they understand these things, no matter how awesome idea you have, it is going to the drain actually. So it was this thing I identified. We tried to work with many agencies, didn't work out, even after paying hefty money. All the heavy lifting we had to do. So I developed a internal team, particularly focusing on the content marketing in the beginning. And we were all involved very actively. No matter what our role was in the organization, we all contributed in the content ideas, generating ideas, writing content, promoting content actively. Because marketing is just not the responsibility of marketing department. Every one of the people work in the organization, they are the brand ambassador of the company or organization they work with. And it could showcase like how they see things, what are their perspective on how they are adding the value. And from there, this was something in the back of my mind with my experience that, okay, I am sure that since I'm facing this problem, and generally these lawyers, law firms, they are so much into their work and everything, they don't get time to promote and talk about themselves. And how I can actually help them out later on, to create such content or very contextualized information, newsletter, communication, and particularly mostly focus on the content marketing, given the current framework that we have in India. So we were also just doing search engine optimization, content marketing, and the usual social media activities. So these were and it worked wonders for us actually.
So, for law firms and lawyers who are not really engaging with marketing as much, and earlier they used to not do that at all. In fact, right? Do you think that has completely changed because of COVID and how perhaps everybody moving online?
Not completely changed. There is still some sort of invisible barrier in their mind. And because of the regulation and framework that there is in place, but still they should understand, we are navigating or entering into the place, and I think COVID has answered it everything, for the efficiency sake, and it's like and even to create your own brand. No matter what, even if we accept as a regulation that is in place, we are already doing it in the LinkedIn or any other medium, or having a website, and so whom we are fooling actually at the end of the day. Just because we have a website, giving disclaimer is not enough. So I think that current regulation that is in place, it's not working at all. It is only working for people who already have the kind of a good network and work that they have created, and the people like us who are come from the first generation lawyers and everything. You really need to work really hard to create mark for yourself in the beginning, and it's kind of more of a hindrance rather than enabling because ultimately if you're really trying to protect client, so I think the more transparency would come when people share more and more information, more and more knowledge sharing happens. But because of not having a clear picture around these regulations, it is basically kind of making it difficult actually, because we are living in the information age. Everything happens, we come online, we seek information, we try to find information, we educate ourselves, and before even talking to a professor. So I think it is completely outdated, and it really needs to be looked into. And not only that, and I think rather than keeping it so much restricted, it should be properly regulated actually. If you think that there are challenges, and there are a few cases and challenges, to regulate it, create a correct framework.
Is there some jurisdiction we can look to for a good example where all of this is regulated in a manner that's also efficient and not like overreaching at the same time?
I cannot come up which is very much kind of, which we can see giving the Indian context. But as we can see, see, no matter, we think that legal professional is a noble profession, certainly is. But we should also understand ultimately this is in a like a business actually. Why business principles cannot be applicable to these things? If you really want to efficiently run organization, help people, you really need to understand principles are important, but it is also, we should very much adapt it to the things which has already worked for other things. Why not take up those good things, those business principles, and apply to what we are doing in our law firms or in our practice, but not kind of misuse those things, or the regulation and everything that, so this is kind of blanket sort of kind of restriction, which doesn't make sense according to me. And it should be properly kind of, well structured framework should be in place, and it will create more and more opportunity, particularly for people who are like first generation lawyers.
And sort of levels the playing field, right? It just helps leveling.
And it is very interestingly, people who are already on the hierarchy, they it doesn't matter to them actually, because they have established themselves, everything is working automatically for them. But just imagine how difficult things would be for people who are coming from different background and trying to create a mark for themselves. It's not that easy. Even if they are knowledgeable enough, they cannot do these things. They cannot talk about, they cannot share information. Like basic information sharing is a lot, but still, I'm not saying that it should be a full-blown marketing. People are already writing and doing these things, but still, I think in the way they should kind of present these information and their work, they should talk about these work. There needs to be much more clarity. It's a very much it's not, it's opaque actually. People are not very much sure how to kind of go about it.
Right. So I want to get your thoughts on personal branding, and is it important for lawyers?
A lot actually. So when we personal branding as a legal professional, it's very important. You create your niche, you create your identity. People know you about what kind of brand that you have created in and around it. So it's very, very, very significant actually when you come online and you try to use sort of platform like LinkedIn or do other activities and connect with people, what kind of information that you share. So the important thing is to basically add value to these platform and the conversation that you are part of, and you talk about these things actually. So it's a very, very significant, and I think LinkedIn is a wonderful platform for lawyers and legal professionals per se, given Indian context, and I think this way they are able to talk about the things that they are doing, and the kind of so it's a very, very interesting actually. But many people don't understand the branding the way, they don't leverage the true power of these platforms and how they can kind of they think that the popularity and all these things happen just in one day. No, you really need a good plan to execute and do it on a regular basis, to have that kind of ideas or topic identified that you talk about. That's how people identify and perceive you, that okay, if you really want to have these kind of information, this individual, this law firm is go-to place for such information. And trust me, there are people who look for a very curated information, and we all are living in information overload actually. So if somebody could do it that would be awesome. And I'm sure that people have varied interest. So maybe if somebody finds something valuable that you do constantly, they will follow you, they will interact with you. It's just not about sharing. It's also about interacting and adding value to other people's conversation, right? And try to, because see, ultimately these are just medium. Like people beyond the screen or the internet are people with flesh, emotion, soul, and they have their own way of thinking and perceiving things. So you cannot pretend something and be something else. So showcase that side of you, add value to the thing, the conversation or the idea that you talk about, right? And that's how you create your brand or identity, actively doing this. So these are the very basic, things I'm talking about. There are n number of things, and there's an interesting way to do that. Okay, so I'm basically kind of telling around LinkedIn as a platform. But these things are keep on evolving, and it's just not about like doing these things for like you consistently need to do that.
So you said, yeah, correct. So you said, just being active on LinkedIn, having your topics charted out, not just sharing, but also sort of engaging with the community and curating content very well. Is there anything else that perhaps somebody who's just starting out should focus on LinkedIn?
I think there are different interesting features that are coming up actually, like LinkedIn has also introduced. So they have also a video feature where you can kind of organize these things, engage with your audience. In fact, certain events that you do, all your networking people are automatically or kind of notified.
Are you talking about LinkedIn Live?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've recently got access to that actually. So they have given, but I haven't used it yet. I was just exploring, so I got to know. And even certain events that you do. So it's a very strategic platform. You cannot simply add people when they send you requests. You really need to understand how not only kind of they can add value to, how you can add value to these people, like, to just because some people just flaunt like, I have so many connections on LinkedIn, but if you see the engagement rate, it's very poor.
Yeah.
It affects your social selling index, that the concept that LinkedIn has. So every one of us, all our profiles have a social selling index. How powerful is your network are? So there are certain criteria that are kind of defined by LinkedIn. So if you do those activity in proportion, so you will get a better outreach through your platform whenever you put out anything.
That's very interesting. I had no idea there's something called a social selling index.
Yes. Just simply search SSI on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can actually see your social selling index on LinkedIn. Simply log into your browser, search it in Google, and just go there, and you can see the complete, like how powerful your LinkedIn profile is.
Great. Thank you. I will definitely go check it out after this. That's great, Nishant. This is all very helpful. I have just a couple of more questions, right? And this is more from a law student and early professional perspective. So, we all know what's taught in law school, open to law school. What are the other things that people should be picking on very, very actively, right? Especially given how the profession is changing on like a very accelerated pace right now.
Right. Interesting. I wish somebody, would have answered this thing for me long back, but interestingly, you are asking. So this is very, very important. Like, but try as many things as you can. Like, even if you're in law school, you're studying law, try to indulge, because sometimes what happens, we end up following the things that our colleagues and friends are doing, and we are not able to find our true calling. Why? Because we don't try things like, our interest or anything like that. Obviously, we are studying law, but innovation does not happen in silos or any particular industry. When there is kind of connection, amalgamation of two specific industry, you have two fundamental understanding of two different fields. You can come up with interesting ideas. You can come up with a solution which would be helpful for both the industry that you are kind of, working on. So same way, try different things, read about as many different things that you could read, and see that how it is kind of relevant to the things or you that you're studying. Many times what happens, we are like, nobody, honestly speaking, I'm telling you, even after 3 years or 5 years of law school, nobody is 100% sure even after law school what they would do. Let me tell you, I was very confused. I didn't know. Everybody is doing everything. I was not really sure, but never worry about these things. Just find good opportunity to work in a different things. Even find some time to learn and everything. You will see that things which are so exciting for you, at some point it might not be as exciting. But if you try, you see that what is the one thing that you can work without even kind of getting tired or find something crucial at that. This is very significant. So try different things. Obviously, these are important, and then you can find your way, because it's not just you have to do what your friends and colleagues are doing just because you are in the law school. You have to be, because you can still add value in a different way, in a great way actually. And the way technology and everything is accelerating, we need a great people with a really good understanding of industry as well as technology vertical. Because law is also a kind of secluded island for many people from different industry. They think it's a very complex and heavily guarded. Obviously, it's a laggard in the technology part, but I think we really need to kind of indulge with other tech professionals and industry people, not only to kind of come up with interesting solutions or, but ultimately helping the industry to move forward in the kind of the change that are taking place. And we really need such people. And so just by one thing, you cannot do that. Just explore, find your interest, and see that how you can bring these things together and, ultimately add value to the legal vertical or even the other vertical that you are interested in.
So if somebody is interested in content and marketing in the legal space, Nishant, where should they start as a law student?
Okay. So as you see, like online is kind of full of resources and everything. Okay. So the most important thing I would say, like when you're starting, content is in the core of anything that we do these days. Everything is around content. The least you can do, like anything that you're passionate about, just maintain a blog, write about it, share those information, create a podcast, create a YouTube channel, create a community around that, something that you find. Because I think the best way to learn anything is to teach, right? So you learn it twice and it stays with you. So you can explore these channels. And I think these things are not that difficult. People have become like, these have become their core thing. They started out of their, kind of, sort of, interest, and later on it has become their core thing. So just dabble on these things, you will find your way. And I would say that whatever interests you, talk about it, write about it, discuss about it. And gradually you will find your way during this process, I'm telling you. So marketing is basically nothing but adding value to the conversation, the things that you care about in a way, and reaching out to people. There are hundreds of channels. So what channel works for you? What you are passionate about? You don't have to be on all the channels and platforms. Just choose that right platform which works for you. See where your audience are kind of there, who cares about such information. Do a little bit of research and talk about it. Engage with people, add value to these conversations. And that's how you will get to learn so many. Because on its own, it's a very vast field as a marketing, you say. Yeah. Because these are different channels at the platform that we see. Okay. But the two thing is then the idea and how you present it, so that it ultimately connects with the people who really care about it. If it doesn't, it has no value, right? And there are also different stages. So these technicalities are not as important right now. But if you really want to, because you have to, whether you do or not, we all are marketeer at the end of the day. Right. We want people to believe on our idea. We want people to believe on the things that we do. We want people to, kind of see the potential on certain things that we are very much passionate about ultimately. So we are kind of trying to bring them on our side. So how do you do that? So we are already kind of naturally we are doing it, but in a structured way, you can find so many resources that are available online, right? But to start with a normal content marketing, blogging, and if you really like to talk, you can start your own podcast on a certain niche area, and even your YouTube channel, and just have the conversation and have fun with it. Don't bother much. Just have a fun with it, and probably you will find it like, and gradually you will learn actually, because the learning is complete process. And I truly believe in kind of, learn by doing it. Because no matter how much obviously you get the broad ideas about the things, but when you start doing it, you get the different tricks and ideas, which works amazingly well for you. Right. So it's very important. Right. No matter how much you read, but unless you do it, it's not going to work.
So I'm actually intrigued because you said a lot of resources and all of that. What's the one thing you read or came across or you watched that completely changed how you thought about marketing?
Yeah. So personally speaking, I have learned these things in bits and pieces as and when things I needed. So for me, this might sound a little bit funny, but I started things around SEO first, actually, because that we were doing it for our platform. So there is a very good platform which teaches you in a very interesting way, in a very simplified way. So I used to have a huge collection of all the guides of everything on the platform. I would read as many resources as I could, whether it is Google or whether it is neilpatel.com or even the Quick Sprout is one other platform. Okay, so there is a very interesting resource around it is HubSpot Academy, You can check that. It's very interesting.
Is it free for all? Is it open
completely
source?
free? HubSpot, it gives you certificate, and it has a great industry value actually, and this certification is a huge kind of regarded even in the marketing industry. All this, and it's very simplified. And I think irrespective of your industry, you should learn. You should do these things because we end up doing these things. And one very important skill that I think is very, very important. Knowing how to write is one thing, but copywriting is a very powerful skill set to have, which you can inculcate. That's why I'm focusing on focus on content marketing, blogging actually, because most of the things that we see online, how you can make these words so powerful, which directly connects with the people, and wherever you are putting. So copywriting is one of the techniques that people should definitely learn, irrespective of what their professions are, whether they're a law student. But when you are kind of sharing your ideas, you can make it more powerful if you understand these things, how things should be structured on the website, which is kind of, because marketing is just not numbers, sign, and everything. It's art as well, actually. You really need to understand people's psychology, the different idea that you're planning to communicate. So there are n number of things, but the one really good resource to start with would be HubSpot Academy. So people can check that, and you get certificate. There are so many certification courses. There are so many free courses and resources around that. And there are several interesting books around copywriting as well that people should learn, because it will not only improve the way you write your emails, but you can actually in a very interesting way kind of make it more persuasive, because that is a very very, very important. Any marketing strategy, communication strategy is in the course. So people should definitely learn that actually.
Thank you so much, Nishant. This has been a great conversation. I am also going to myself check out HubSpot to see what the Academy has to offer. Any parting thoughts before we close this?
So I'm really like what you guys are doing. I'm so excited in the sense I follow Prolawgue and look at the kind of information, and it has been a wonderful place for me to basically tap on the things. I have my different ways of basically keep myself updated around that, but I think you are kind of simplifying things for me. So thank you so much for Prolawgue, and thank you so much for you to organizing this interview and connecting. And it's any time we discuss, it's really kind of fascinating talking to you. I will get to learn so many things from you as well, and even beyond these conversations, at some point we can definitely connect and collaborate and contribute in true sense, not from the business point of view, but even for the industry as well. And I'm pretty hopeful for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nishant. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for those very, very kind words.
Great. Thanks, Shreya.